Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jolene and I'm here to talk about mental health, mostly about my journey, and hopefully it will help somebody or inspire someone. That's my goal, just to create a community to support each other through mental health issues. I am not a licensed mental health professional at this time. That's coming in about 3 years. Exciting news, I am going to be starting my master's program in clinical mental health counseling here in just a couple of weeks. I'm really excited. It is definitely the next step in my journey for working towards what I want to do and helping people. And it's a beautiful day in quarantine. I am in my yard. Okay, I'm not away from my house. I'm staring at my house. It's the neighbor's house behind me. I'm under one of my beautiful trees. And that's so just a change of scenery, and it feels so good to just be outside and in the warmth and the sun and bugs, but oh well. And that's why I just thought it'd be nice to be outside for once. So it's been a couple weeks since I recorded a video. A few reasons for that. One was deciding to go back to school and the process that takes, and talking to a zillion universities. But the main reason is I've been dealing with some grief. And you might be thinking, oh no, who just died? Nobody just died. But there's a couple people in my life who passed away in April in different years. And so April tends to be a challenging time, and not in a bad way. It's a sad time for me. April 26th, my sister passed away 16 years ago. And April 26th, my uncle, who lived with my family, he has Down syndrome and lived with our family, he passed away 4 years ago. And so this time of year is just challenging for me in that I miss them. I tend to be a bit more sad, and didn't really want to do a video being all sad. And I did a little bit of study on grief in the last little while. I listened to a really good TED Talk that this lady gave on grief, and it's really interesting because she points out that people who haven't yet experienced grief don't get it. And it's so true. If you haven't experienced grief yet in your life, be thankful. And they're so sweet. They try and help and just be comforting and supportive, but a lot of times it's just not. Because it's very awkward. It's like, oh yeah, my sister passed away. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it happened. Like, and that's probably the biggest life-changing trauma I've had. Because I was 13 years old, so it was very traumatic for me. But I've moved forward. And again, this lady in the talk, people will talk about how, oh, you need to move on. You need to move on past this grief or past this loss. And no, you never move on from it. Grief is part of life. It's a natural part of life, and it's there through the rest of your life. You don't move on, you move forward. You move past it, but I'm trying to explain it, and I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job. You learn how to live with it. And it's not going to be as strong and as prominent as when you first lose that person or whatever you've lost. Because grief isn't necessarily losing someone. It can be losing something. Losing a job, as a lot of people are experiencing right now. I felt some grief when I realized, and it sunk in, that I'm not going to get to see the kiddos I work with till next school year. I felt a loss of that time and energy that I would have spent with them. Loss of health, if you've been diagnosed with health issues. those are all losses that we grieve in much the same way as if we've lost someone. And so you learn to live with grief, and it comes in waves. Pretty much the rest of your life. There's still days where I'm just like, you know what, I'm really sad. I miss my sister. I really miss her. Or I miss my uncle. Around the holidays is really hard for me because they were both so into the holidays and such a bright light and brought so much joy to this world that those are harder for me. It's such a fun and joyous time, but it's also sad. Same with my wedding day, same with when my kids were born. Some of the best days of my life are still tinged with a bit of sadness because some of the people I love the most in the world aren't there. It's the same as if you've had a miscarriage and what could have been. What would that child be like? How old would they be now? But yeah, if you've had your rainbow baby, you wouldn't trade them for the world. I know a lot of women experiencing things like that right now. And that. So if you've experienced grief in your life, I feel you. I've been there. I am there. Still deal with it. You're not alone. If you are feeling sad at times and you just want to cry, that is totally okay and it's totally normal. You need to experience your grief in how you need to experience it. Nobody experiences it the same. Nobody experiences it for the same amount of time as far as that first initial amount of grief when you're first still processing your loss. And everybody's going to deal with it differently. When I was a teenager and my sister passed, I internalized a lot of it and I didn't grieve. I literally stopped in the middle of the grieving process and picked it up years later. Made some unhealthy choices in that, but I did the best that I could with what I had at that time. And that. And so when I lost my uncle, I was aware of how I had dealt with things before and how I needed to process my emotions better that time around. So, yeah. I love you guys, and I hope you're doing well. And if you haven't yet experienced that grief in life, just give that person a hug who's sharing their sadness and their grief with you. Give them a hug and just let them know you're there. And shut your pie hole. That's my advice. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day.